Well, good afternoon, and welcome to this week's edition of Drive Facebook Live. I'm your host, Bob Spitz, with my partner, Tony Whistler.
Hello.
Yes, hello. And our special guest today is Dan Vasquez of Performance Motorworks, along with his coach, Karla Weiss. Welcome, guys. Good to have you.
Hello.
Hi, thanks, Paul.
Yeah. And we were just chatting about the 20 group, and we have some of the finest shops in the country belonging to our 20 groups, and they turn numbers that make some shops just weep. Just weep. Yeah, I remember, in one of the original 20 groups, there was this wonderful shop out of Austin, Texas. He turned such crazy numbers that a couple of the California shops flew down there to spy on him.
Oh,
They
wow.
just couldn't believe that those numbers were real.
Counting the cars coming in and leaving.
Yeah, how is he doing
Yeah,
this?
right.
Yeah, those people wouldn't believe what some of the numbers that these guys are making now.
Yeah,
It
I
would be
know.
like, oh, she.
Yeah,
Anyway,
well,
Awesome.
they were also, lamenting that his cost of labor was so low in Texas compared to California.
well,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Sure. Sure.
It's
I
like,
don't know
oh
if
my
that's the
gosh.
case anymore, though.
I don't
Those
know either.
Texans are getting a little
Oh, an awful lot, a
demanding.
lot of California moved there, so who knows what's going on?
Yeah,
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
Austin weird.
Especially all.
Uh-oh. Bob is cutting
Hey,
out.
Bob cut out a little bit. Let me see
Yeah.
if there he is. He's back.
I think it's something with his connection because it was happening the other day, too.
Yeah, it was happening yesterday.
Yeah.
Huh,
You,
what's going on with my internet connection?
you
Well, if I
Oregonians.
lock up again, you take over, Tony.
I
But
will.
Karla, what do you want to talk about today?
Well, I was told that I needed to talk about apprenticeships.
Who told you that?
I think it was you, wasn't
Yeah, it
it?
might have been. Yeah, it might have been me. Yeah.
Anyway, so the apprenticeship is another level of consulting, coaching, it's a more intense coaching, um, because it is very set and has specific things that the client has to do each week. And if they don't do it that week, it just piles up for the next week. And
Well,
so
yeah.
it can become pretty it's demanding and it's pretty intense, right, Dan?
Yes, I can vouch for that personally. Yes.
Well, at that point when you're doing an apprenticeship, you got to, walk the walk. It's no longer talking the talk. You got to
That's
actually
right.
prove that you can do what you've been taught.
Yeah, and
And an
it's a good
apprenticeship
point.
is that.
Yeah, it's a good point. A lot of people think it's a learning, they're going to learn new material or stuff like that. And sometimes it happens, but that's not the point of the apprenticeship. The point of the apprenticeship is to basically use and get very familiar and comfortable with the data uh, that they have already learned. So it's a practice more than a learning. Of course, you always learn when you're practicing, right?
Right.
Yes.
But as in the past, some people were like, "Well, I'm not learning anything." Well, it's not supposed to be about learning. It's about using what you already know and sorting out if they have any confusion or any difficulties on that subject or that aspect.
Right. Well, there's often a huge chasm between knowing something and being able to actually do something with it. And I think that's we're kind of putting a bridge across there. You know what I mean? Like,
And for some, it's a bigger chasm than for others.
exactly.
So the first one that most people do is called the Playbook Apprenticeship, and that's basically writing the policies and procedures for the different areas of the shop. And I believe there's about 14 areas, which is split it into different areas within an area, right? Like we have, for example, in the front, we have a reception area, and then we have the service advisor area and the parts area. So, and this dispatching area. So it's designed to really make it granular,
Mm,
right? So that it's very defined what somebody needs to do in a particular job.
Yeah, well, the Playbook Apprenticeship was born out of the policy apprenticeship that we used to have. We used to have, called it the Shop Policy Apprenticeship. But once we had the Playbook app, we expanded the whole concept so that it's not just writing policy or procedure. You can also write best practices, guidelines, all the things that are in a shop owner's head on how they want their business to run and getting it out of their head where someone else can access it so that coaches don't hear from shop owners, well, I can't tell you how many times I've told him. If I've told him once, I've told him 100 times. And they're still not doing it the way I want to do it.
Right.
and
So
how'd that go,
then,
Dan?
yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, I can basically attest to what you guys are saying, which is that it's kind of like taking all the things that you've been learning along the way with Drive and then putting those into practice, actually using them in real life at your shop. And it is a lot of work. It is a commitment, like Karla said. It's demanding, but it's good because you kind of put your nose down, you put your head down and go to work, and then eventually you kind of look up and you reach this big milestone, and then the benefit that it brings to your shop is priceless. It really is. So yeah, so I would highly recommend it to anybody who's thinking about doing an apprenticeship. Know that it's some work, know that you're going to have to dedicate some time to it, but it's good, and the end result is worth it.
Well, I've seen your playbook, and I think your playbook looks really tight.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I'm going to say, how much of the playbook was built after you did the apprenticeship as opposed to before? Like, how much of a jump was there in building that thing?
Yeah, so a lot of it was done during the apprenticeship. That's where I really got comfortable writing policy and putting in those best practices. And then some of it was done after, and like Karla had said, there's multiple apprenticeships there. And so throughout the series of apprenticeships that I did, more and more things got added into my playbook along the way. Um,
Excuse me, Dan, is there a
yeah,
chance you can move closer to your mic or move your mic closer to you?
let me see if I can make some adjustments. Give me one moment.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because a point you were just making, Tony, is in this apprenticeship, the playbook apprenticeship, shop owners get a chance to really know the playbook app and become power users.
Right, right. That's really good. And Dan's great. Like we had our playbook master club meeting yesterday, and we had about 5 or 6 people in there, and Dan just rolled through. He was showing a lot of our clients a lot of stuff that he's done that are absolute best practices, and people, they were eating it up. It was a great little meeting. We do that once a month, and he just contributed so much and was showing things, we're sharing screens and looking at how to do stuff, and Dan was just rolling. It was really a pleasure to watch.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Karla,
Hopefully my
what stage does a shop need to be in to successfully do this apprenticeship?
the stage where they can take time to write policies. So it has to be at least stage 3, because if the owner is still in the front as a service advisor or working in the back, they won't have the bandwidth to do it. They just won't have the time to sit and think about these things, you know. Or, at the end of the day, they'll be so tired, and it's like, what? Forget it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's at least stage 3, which means they have somebody service writing and they have technicians in the back for sure.
Yeah. And Dan, did you was one of the wonderful things with technology is that we didn't have years ago, and it was such a burden, and Karla would pull her hair out sometimes. But employing AI in helping you write your policies, did you use AI in assisting you there?
Yeah, Chat GPT is my assistant, 100%.
He never asks for time off, doesn't want to
I
raise.
know, such a great employee.
No breaks.
No calling in sick.
Never gets
Yeah.
tired. So the
Yeah,
next apprenticeship, I'm sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. No, it's
Dan.
okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So the next apprenticeship is the executive planning apprenticeship. And
That was our
again,
first apprenticeship.
that was the first one, but that's
Yeah.
the second one. I mean, somebody can do it first, but um, and that apprenticeship again is the same thing. You have to do it every week, and if you fall behind, you have to make up for time loss, and no excuses.
And what does it cover? What does the EPA cover?
So the EPA, what you're doing in the EPA, I hate to say that because it sounds like a, you know,
Environmental
I know
Protection
very
Yeah.
Agency?
exactly,
Making
exactly.
sure the water's clean.
So in the executive planning apprenticeship, you're putting all the things that you have learned together and use them as tools for managing the shop. So in that apprenticeship, you take all the stuff on financing, all the stuff that you put in your policies, all the stuff that you learn in marketing, your action plans, and you combine it so that it makes sense and it's all aligned, and you use it to basically improve the condition of the shop on a weekly basis and take more control of the shop rather than, you know, income hoping and
You
crossing your
mean
fingers
no
to
more
hope.
managing by hope?
No more managing my hub, not hoping that you get enough cars, or, at the end of the week you didn't make it and it's kind of like, well, that's how it went. It really teaches to manage it so that you actually not only make your owners break even, but meet your goals.
Very
Oh,
good.
by the way,
Absolutely.
Dan, Teresa's watching.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, wow.
Hi,
Hi,
Teresa.
Teresa. That's pretty cool.
So what did you get out of the executive planning apprenticeship, Dan?
Yeah, I got a lot out of it. I got multiple things, but I would have to say probably one of the best things was that weekly planning between my service advisor and myself, and looking at our appointments and actually setting that financial goal each week. Kind of like you said, not out of hope, but using a mathematical formula. And I remember leading up to this, talking with Karla and saying, I'm really happy with my shop. We do really well, but one week my KPIs are up here and the next week they're down here. Why is it up and down so much? And she said, I'll be honest with you, it's a lack of planning, and we can fix it through planning. It did fix it. It did help to stabilize the shop to where the KPIs, they were always good, but now they're just more consistently good because we're looking at it a lot more closely and putting a lot of thought into each and every day and each and every week.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Well, when I originally dreamed up the executive planning apprenticeship, one of the things I was trying to help shops with is we had shops that were growing so quickly, and the tail was now wagging the dog,
Mhm.
and the shop owner was losing control of this monster that they created, and we
Mhm.
wanted to put them back in the driver's seat, and instead of chasing the shop around. By the way, I want to say hello to an old time Drive client. Tim Morlock is watching. Hello, Tim.
Hey,
Northern
Tim.
Good to see you,
Northern
Tim.
Hi,
Californian
Tim.
guy, probably from
Yeah.
his ranch up in Shasta.
Now,
I called Tim when I was considering becoming a Drive client, and he was one of the guys who talked me into signing up with Drive. So thanks, Tim. Probably one of the best things I ever did.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. I had a question for you, Karla. So you talked about how the apprenticeship goes, it's a rigid, very methodical thing. It's every week something gets done, every week something else gets done, and it ticks down. Now, what's like what would be like for anyone that has never done one of these before? Are we talking about, okay, we're going to start this apprenticeship and you're only going to have to be in this rigorous state for 485 weeks and then you're going to be done? Or is it like, okay, we're gonna do it for 2 weeks and then it's done? Like, what is it? What do they should they expect if they get on something like this? And about how long? I know they're all slightly different, but about how long are they?
Okay, so basically they're 10 to 12 weeks.
Ooh, there
The
you go.
executive planning apprenticeship is 10 weeks. But of course, once you learn this, for example, in executive planning, you are learning how to plan and you're learning how to coordinate all the actions of the shop. We expect you to keep doing them, It's not,
Right.
it's not like you just do the apprenticeship and go, okay, good, I'm done with that one. I can move on, right?
Right.
It's so so officially it's 10 weeks, but we expect you to keep doing those actions. Now
Exactly.
the playbook apprenticeship is a little bit different, right? Because you're going to write policies to that degree, to that extent for a while, and then you pretty much are going to run out of policies to write. But that doesn't say that, once in a while you run into situations that require that you write a new policy or revise a policy that you have. If somebody has been operating, with paper and they switch to digital, right? They're going to have to rewrite all their policies that have to do with the workflow and whatever digital changes they're going to make. Otherwise, somebody will pick up the policies like, what are you talking about? This doesn't have anything to do with it. So, but it's not going to be as extensive, right? It's going to be one policy here and there, or a few policies, or in the case of a drastic change like that, you might have to write for a few weeks, right? But so it's a little bit different, right?
Right.
From the executive planning apprenticeship, where we expect you to keep doing those planning, your financial planning, your marketing planning, your action plans every week. And actually in the top 20, all the everybody sends their action plans to each other to be scrutinized by everybody else and see
Peer
what
to
you're
peer.
see
Peer to
what
peer.
you're doing or not doing, and so it kind of trains you to do that as well.
So
Yeah.
it would be safe to say that it might be 10 weeks, but we fully expect that now we're just not going to be watching you as closely anymore. And we're going to expect you to continue infinitely. So when you do your executive planning, they're like 10-week or 12-week apprenticeship, Dan, you're still just doing the same things you were doing during the apprenticeship, right? It's just, nothing changes, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, these basically what we're being taught are some very successful actions that are going to help to stabilize your shop. And so by the end of the apprenticeship, you see the value in doing that each week. Same with the playbook apprenticeship as well. It starts out really difficult. The playbook app is so powerful, which is great, but that's also can make it a little bit daunting or a little bit intimidating. And so the great thing about these apprenticeships is you kind of learn how to do these things, and then it's no longer a burden. Like I'm excited to write plays now in my playbook. I enjoy, like Karla said, it'll never stop, right? But it's easy to do now that I've done a bunch of it, and doing it, I look at like a play is like freedom, right? Each play that I write is a little piece of freedom for me as a shop owner because it's getting all this stuff out of my mind and into I call it digital ink since it's in the playbook app, but digital
Very
paper.
nice.
Yeah, so I love it. Yeah, but without the apprenticeships, I don't know that I would have. I certainly wouldn't have tackled it so fast, and I certainly wouldn't have the confidence in doing these successful actions that I have now.
Yeah, well,
Great to hear.
like with any apprenticeship, you're breaking down bad habits and you're instilling new habits. and it creates like a muscle memory. You just practice it over and over and over and over until it is just your new way of operating. You know, it instills a whole operating basis. And Karla, Kevin Reichert is watching, and he says the executive planning apprenticeship was a game changer for him and his partner, Eric.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Hey, Kevin.
Hey,
Yeah.
Kevin. And one point about the that you were mentioning on the apprenticeship is and I lost a little bit of the thought here. um leave it to Kevin to distract me.
That's right, Kevin. Kevin.
Well, he eats some pizza.
That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly. You
Or
were talking
lobster.
about changing habits and stuff like that, and sometimes there are not habits there, to start with.
Right, there
And
was nothing
Right.
there.
There's
right.
nothing
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, and then the next one is the Freedom Apprenticeship. And this one is very similar to the Playbook Apprenticeship, but you're writing the procedures for the manager. So what you're doing, the main thing that I've seen that happens in this apprenticeship is that the owner can separate the manager from the owner's jobs. Because those two tend to be very together, very I don't know, mix.
Entangled.
So mix and entangle. That's a perfect word. Entangle is perfect. So with that apprenticeship, while the owner starts downloading what the manager should be doing or should be the functions of the manager, they can see, okay, that's a manager function versus this is an owner's function. And in that, it gives them the freedom to be the owner and also the ability to find the right person as manager. Many times it's been, oh, I think this guy can be a manager, and the owner goes through the manager apprenticeship and the freedom apprenticeship, sorry, and they go, maybe not. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's the download, and Dan can talk more about that part.
Yeah,
Let's hear it.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, the word is nailed. It's freedom, right? And going through all these apprenticeships, including the Freedom Apprenticeship, it kind of gives you a clear-cut path, of what your owner's hat is and what everybody else's hat is at your facility. And people ask me, well, are you stage 4? Are you stage 3? Are you stage 5? And I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm at the stage where if I walk into my shop, I don't know what to do because everybody's already doing everything. And I ask people if they need help and they say no, and I feel awkward, so I leave. So I'm at that
Thing to
stage.
do.
Whatever that stage is, I know that Tony and Karla, have told me don't meddle, don't meddle. So I just say, hey, you
Yeah,
guys got it. Have
that's
a
right.
great
Go back
day.
onto your farm. Stay busy on your farm.
Yeah. You know where to find me if you need me.
No, I love that. You said I'm a little uncomfortable, so the thing to do is to leave. I went, beautiful. That's the exact right answer. Just go, keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to get a coffee.
Well,
Yes,
we
exactly.
used to joke, Dan, that you made it when a customer walks up to you in your shop and says, "Do you work here?"
Do you work here?
And you go, "No."
No, I don't.
See
No, you
that guy
don't.
over there.
You don't answer the question. You go talk to him.
Yes.
I'm out of here.
Absolutely correct. Very nice.
Yeah, you could actually call that apprenticeship your road out or the road to stage 4.
Yep.
Yes.
But it's critical, especially for anybody, and so much of this is happening right now, where more shops are taking on another shop. We're seeing, in collision, it's huge. Consolidation's been going on for years, but it's happening now more in general repair, where a successful shop owner sees an opportunity and buys another shop. Well, if you've done these apprenticeships, you've laid the groundwork, haven't you, Dan?
Yeah, the formula's there, right? And the work has been done. And I always tell people it's a lot of work, but it's worth it, right? Because once the work is done, once your playbook's built, and once you have laid out the groundwork for running a successful shop, you can take that and you can apply it anywhere, and you can multiply. I haven't decided if I'm going to do that yet or not, but I feel like I have the tools to do it if I wanted to.
Yeah,
Right.
I know J.R. Luna in Ventura, he got
Mhm.
that shop completely dialed in with these apprenticeships, and now he's got 6 locations. You
Nice,
know,
very nice.
And
if
like I
that's your
noticed,
goal, if your goal is to have more than one location.
sure. And I noticed you said that you're not, sugarcoating that it's hard work. But
Yes,
isn't it true that if you know exactly the path you want to take, that the hard work is gratifying and it's actually morale building? But if you don't know what you're doing, it just causes stress. And so
correct.
that's where a lot of our clients are very stressed out when they first come on our program. But then later, they're not working any less. They're just they see a goal and they see the path to get there, and it can be very gratifying. Is that true?
Absolutely. I say 100% true, and I would just say this, as a shop owner, you're going to work hard. It's just what do you want to be doing, right? I mean, I'd rather be working hard towards the goal and then get to the point where I don't have to work so hard versus just running around pulling my hair out. Because I was working harder then than I am now, right? And I put in, I rolled up my sleeves and I put in some hard work for these apprenticeships, but I made it important to me. I made it important that I didn't get behind very often. I know Karla can say I wasn't perfect, but the end result is I'm not working half as hard as I used to work anymore. My stress level is almost zero. It's really good. And I didn't, I always say this about drive and about the life that I'm living now. I thought it was a pipe dream and I didn't think it was possible. I really didn't. I was very hesitant when I signed up with Drive, but now I see it. The dream is real. It is possible. It does take some work, but I highly recommend the apprenticeships because they're just going to open up a whole new avenue and a whole new side of Drive and this coaching program that you haven't seen before if you haven't done these yet, and they're worth it for sure.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well,
Another
go
thing
ahead,
that
Karla.
another thing that I think is good to understand and why these apprenticeships are critical is because really what gives you freedom is the systems in the shop, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
If
Systems.
only one person knows how things should be, you lose that person and your whole shop collapses. But if everybody is trained and knows the policies, the procedures, the successful actions, etc., then it's easier to lose one person and replace that person and keep things moving, you
Yeah.
know?
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, the whole game is we teach shop owners systems, they install the systems, and then the systems run the shop,
Hmm.
right? Now
Right.
that's
And
easy to say, but that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But but that's the
Yeah.
goal,
But this apprenticeships get you there.
mhm,
right?
They help you get there because that's exactly what you're doing. You are sorting out those systems. You are looking at how do you want things to be? How to handle certain issues?
mhm.
I
Right. And
was
then
just
training
talking,
everybody on those systems.
yeah, I was just talking to David from Urban Classics yesterday, and it was like he had a position that nobody could. I mean, people would he would hire and they would bounce out like crazy. And finally go, you know what? There's got to be something wrong with the organization on that position. And he went to work and it's like, oh my gosh, he goes, I can see why it was impossible to do the job. You know what I mean? Because the systems were not in place. So,
Or
and
incorrect in somewhat.
yeah, the policies were not there. They were
Mm.
supposed to use walkie-talkies and nobody charged them. I mean, silly stuff like that, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
But that's part of the same thing, you
that's
know.
right. That's right. Hey, Tony, I think it's time for our station break.
It is. The first thing I want to invite everyone to do is to come and see us in Las Vegas for the Expo 2025. That's going to be September 18th through the 20th, which is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's at the Westgate. So I think it's maybe if Carolyn can pop the link to the website to register in the chat, that'd be fabulous. You may have already done it. And then, so that's the first thing I want to talk about. And then the other thing I want to talk about is next week's show. So January 31st, we're going to have Rowdy and Grace Torville from Central Diesel Sales in Mobridge, South Dakota.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and that'll be a lot of fun.
they're
And
great folks.
back to you, Bob.
All right. You know, we're right up against the hour here. Dan, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Karla, thank you for being here. And we'll see you the next time. And so from all of us at Drive Facebook Live, have yourselves a great weekend, and we'll see you later.
Hi,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye. Thank you.